Hi, my beautiful friends. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'm sure you could tell by the thumbnail what today is. It is the first of the series of Storytime. So today I'll be telling a story of how I met Kurt's father. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, please continue watching. And if you're new today, the biggest welcome to you. And we really hope by the end of this video, you'll consider hitting that subscribe and notification bell to join this amazing family here. Okay, you guys, go grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and sit back and enjoy story time of how I met Kurt's father. Okay, you guys, so today is the first of story time. No, I'm so excited, you guys. Yeah, it's going to be just very different for me. So today I am keeping all the makeup super simple. I'm actually going to use that all-in-one palette from the Can Be. They sent this to me, and I think it'd just be easier because again, I have to really think of the story that I'm going to be telling you. And yeah, I'm just going to keep it simple, you guys. I'm so excited about it. Hope you are too, and hope this goes well. And we can do this every week. So today, the story is How I Met Your Father. And the reason why I named it that is first, I love that one show, How I Met Your Mother, but this will be for Kurt. One day, if he ever wants to look back, years down the road and listen to the story, this will be for him. My hopefully future grandkids. That is the wonderful thing about doing what I'm doing is I get to do this, and Kurt or whoever, years down the road will be able to see and hear me, see my mannerisms. So, yeah, this is, it'll just be really nice. And I think Kurt has, heard the story, but I don't know if he's heard the in depth story of how I met his father. So let's begin, you guys. The way I'm going to do it, I'm just going to apply my makeup. I might show you what I'm using here or there. But for the most part, it will be story time and me applying the makeup. So I thought about it. I'm like, where do I even begin the story? So I'm going to begin with me, the story, my story. We're going to go back to the year of 1989. And I had just graduated high school. A little backstory on my high school years. I was a cheerleader. Ninth, 10th, and 11th grade. For some reason, my senior year, I just decided not to do that anymore, and I didn't want to pursue it. And I thought about that, as I was thinking of the story, I wonder why, what really drove me to quit after all those years of being a cheerleader. And honestly, I think it was, the more I thought about it, it was I was becoming unattached to them. Maybe I was doing it subconsciously, detaching from those girls that I've known my whole life. And I think it was because all of them were planning going to college. And I knew that was just, not in the cards for me. Number one, I always struggled with school. And number two, I come from a family of five, middle class. And honestly, my parents probably could definitely not afford sending five children to college. So college just wasn't in the cards for me, and I knew that. And I think hearing all the stories, and it became kind of clicky because they were all planning, who they're going to room with, all this stuff, and I felt a little left out. So I think that was the main. I honestly don't think I thought that at the time. I just think I was, thinking they became too clicky. But of course they're going to do that because they're planning their future. And yeah, so looking back now, subconsciously, I was detaching. So anyway, so that was a little backstory of my high school career. I had great times, don't get me wrong, but my senior year was a little rough on me. So I graduated and I put it into the makeup, you guys. I graduated and I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know what game this was. I don't know if it was homecoming because that's a huge thing in the small town I grew up in. Really quick, you guys, I'm going to show you this palette again for those who are possibly new here. So it looks like this. Again, it's from the company You Can Be on their website, you guys. This is $18 and it comes with brushes. So it has all of this in here. So I pretty much could do my full face with this. So going back, a high school, I was going to a game, a football game, and homecoming in our hometown is huge. You know, people just make a huge deal over homecoming. There's parades, there's floats, there's all this stuff. So, you guys, I went too far. I went way too far. I knew I was going to mess this up. I'm at the night that I meet Daryl. So, let's backpedal, you guys. I am so sorry. Okay, so about a week before the game, I was visiting a girl, you know, that I knew worked at this mall that we went to. She worked at Ocatone or AU Cotton. I can't remember. I don't even know how it was, you know, said. So I went to go visit her, and you know, she was working there, and this guy Brian worked across the hall. I knew Brian. We just weren't really close or anything, so I just knew of him. He knew of me, and so Angie goes, "Hey, do you want to go say hi to Brian?" I'm like, "Sure." And he had friends visiting him while he was working, and there was Daryl, and I think Brian, and maybe one other guy, two other guys. I don't even know. All I could do is I walked in, and honestly, you guys, this is why I believe in love at first sight. I swear, I'm not even kidding you. I could feel the little hearts and, you know, all that coming out of my eyes, my ears, you know, everything. I saw him, and I don't know what it was, you guys. Well, I do know what it was. You know, in my head, I was a huge fan of New Kids on the Block. And in my head, he looked like the guy, Jonathan Knight, that I was in love with. And if you know Jonathan Knight now, you would kind of be laughing at this. But he, yeah, he just looked like him, only cuter. And yeah, I could not take. Look, I can even get flustered talking about it. I could not take my eyes off of him, and he would not even give me the time of day. It was kind of like one of these. He would glance and then look away, and if you guys saw my video where Daryl's doing my hair, you probably know some of this story because we touched on it then. Anyway, so yeah, so I kept staring at him, and you guys, if you would see what Daryl was wearing and what he looked like, you would think that I was out of my mind. And I could have been. I could have been, you guys. Because I know my parents weren't too thrilled when I brought him home. He had on his football pants that were cut off. He had on a football top that was almost crop like. I don't know. You guys, we dressed really strange back then. He had two different pairs of shoes on. They were what are the name of those things? Converse. He had a black one and a red one. And yeah, so picture that in your head. He had like a, oh gosh, not a do-rag, but they're like a bandana type thing, but it was wrapped around his head that looked like a do-rag. He had a wad of chew in his mouth, like chewing tobacco. I must have thought that was attractive back then. I don't know. Or I didn't even notice it, but you know, I didn't even care because he was so cute. So this is what he looks like, you guys. So just picture that in your head about Daryl. And so yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, that is a man I must marry. So we didn't say one word to each other at all. I was wearing, he remembers, and we laugh about it to this day. I was wearing all purple. I must have been in love with Prince or grapes or something. I don't know, but I had a purple shirt, a purple shoes, purple socks. Donny Osmond possibly. I don't know. So yeah, I didn't look any better, I am assuming. So I thought after that night, I would never see Daryl again. And again, you know, I didn't know Brian well enough to go, hey, who was that guy, you know? Anyway, so a week later goes by, and I'm at the game, and I saw Brian, and he comes up to me and he says, hey, do you want to go to a party after the game? I'm like, yeah, is that guy going to be there? And he's like, Rodney. And I'm like, no, not, I don't think his name was Rodney. It was Daryl. And I swear to God, that's how he did it. How mean. And yeah, I'm like, yeah. And then I started wondering, okay, because this guy is dressed really strange. Maybe he's, you know, really strange guy. And this guy's trying to protect me. So he goes, yeah, no, he'll be there. So, of course, I'm going to this party. And I went all by myself. I didn't even know this guy. I kind of knew where he lived. He gave me his address, and we didn't have Garmin's and stuff back then, you guys. And to this day, I don't even know how I found his house. Anyway, so I go in there, and there's Daryl again, not giving me the time of day. And I know at this point, because years down the road, Daryl told me, Rodney or Brian had told him that, this girl is wanting to know about you. And he's like, oh, well, whatever. And so I go there. He's totally ignoring me. Okay, you guys, here's the deal. I must have stuff on my brushes because I'm using the same color, but yet there's another color coming out. I don't know how this happened. So you guys are going to have to try to make this color. I don't know how I did it, but I'm going to try. Yeah, you guys, I'm gonna have to try to make this work. I gotta clean my brushes. So anyway, he is not giving me the time of day at all. And I'm like, what is going on with this guy? He's a typical jack. This is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, who is this? Now I'm getting upset. So finally, I hear him talking about he had just come back from Cancun, and he was just talking about the Mexicans and how you could understand them, and just he was just saying stuff, and I go, so then I found my opportunity. I walk up to him, I go, I am Mexican. And he's like, oh my gosh, so. And then I realized he was Italian, so we're just going back and forth, just making smart remarks, about being that. That's how we're courting each other. So let me tell you a backstory about Daryl now. So now that we have kind of met and we have a little bit more story to go, but I want to give you a backstory about Daryl. Daryl went to a private Catholic school, and it was a very, very small class. So, there isn't a lot of people there. Again, Daryl kind of was a loner too. I didn't know any of this, but Daryl was a loner, and he just had very, few friends. And him and this guy Chris were actually probably best friends. His only best friend, pretty much his whole high school career. Daryl claims, and they all say, his parents and his sister. I just find it hard to believe. He had never had a girlfriend um, prior to me, and which is I feel so sad about that. And anyway, so he just didn't know how to act around girls, But Daryl grew up very different. Like I said, I grew up in a middle class environment. My dad worked at the big three. And so, we're just middle class. Now, Daryl was very lucky. He was a very lucky kid. I don't think he appreciated it at the time, but he was just fortunate. His dad is he retired now, but he was an ophthalmologist. So Daryl led a very different lifestyle than I did, but he was never spoiled. He was never, um, looked down, on people that didn't live like him. It's just different, very humble family, to tell you the truth. I mean, not that they're, you know, God rich, but they're a lot just different class than I was used to. So Daryl was going to college. He was already applied. He was going to go to Ferris State University to be, um, what was it, like a police officer or law enforcement. And so I found that out that night that he was going to be going away to college, and that kind of bummed me out again. Everybody's leaving me type scenario. Feel sorry for Laura Day, But it was early. We still had time, and so now going back, so we just talked and talked that whole night, and then he gave me his number. I gave him my number. He never called me. And you guys, I must have been very pushy back then because I called him. I mean, who does that? And I would never now to this day, I'm like, again, I must have been a very different person. So I called him, and I'm looking frantically, you guys. I'm going to take micellar water. I seen this on a TikTok, and I don't have anything to put it in, so I'm just gonna put it on this palette. So anyway, he didn't call me, you guys, so I call him, and I think his mom answered. I want to say his mother answered. So I'm just taking a little bit of the micellar water, you guys, and dipping it in the eyeshadow. Somebody said this really works, so we're gonna try it. Um, so yeah, his mom answered the phone, and I'm like, "Is Daryl there?" And she's like, "Yes, but he's out mowing the lawn." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she goes, "Can I ask who's calling?" And I said, gave her my name. And so probably an hour later, Daryl calls me. It's just very awkward, even though we talked pretty much all night the night before, it's just awkward, And um, sorry, you guys, I'm getting a little quiet. I'm trying to make a wing out of a, uh, eyeshadow and a brush. And looks like it works. I just messed up a little bit, but it works. He calls me back and I'm like, do you want to do something tonight? Of course he said yes, we're still together today. So that is no mystery. And we went out and I can't even tell you where we went, you guys. I'm sure nothing fancy because, neither one of us had a lot of money. He was saving up for college a little bit again because he came from a very, lucky family, but again, he was not spoiled. His parents really did teach him very well about that. I'm sure we just went somewhere super lame, probably like some kind of, I don't even, it could have been Taco Bell or something. I can't even remember, you guys. But again, all I remember is, him and I talking all night long again. And we just kept getting closer and closer. And, Daryl just was, I felt bad for him because he was a little depressed, he was a little depressed guy. And I think I was too, and I just didn't know it. So we kind of found each other right at that right moment when we needed somebody who we could relate with. And I think that's what attracted us a lot too, is that we were pretty much in the same boat of our happiness or confusion of where we were going. Even though he had a plan for college, I'm sure he was scared to death because he's super. Well, he was super shy, not anymore. But yeah, he was super shy. So he's going to a college, with a bunch of guys that he has to room with. And anyway, so we were just so much more alike than we thought looking back. And yeah, we just clicked very well. After those first few dates together, we were inseparable, you guys. It was just, I don't even know how to explain it. We just could not be without each other. And it was mutual, it wasn't just one way. And, I met his sister, and that's another story, you guys. His sister. Another backstory about Daryl and his sister. They're both adopted from two different families, but for some reason they look alike. It's bizarre. And his mom's Italian, a short little Italian woman, but for some reason these two children look like her. And they're both very tall. Daryl's 6'1", his sister's like 5'10", 11. I don't know. She's way taller than me. So here she comes down. I went to their house and she comes down the stairs. This tall, skinny girl with black, long, black, just I don't even know, like Cher hair. And she kind of even looked like Cher at the time. I was like, what is going on? What is this? It just blew my mind. I don't think I've ever seen somebody, she's just very exotic looking, is the only way I can explain it at the time. She just was completely different than what I was used to seeing at, the small town Lake Orion that I went to. Anyway, so I'm like, oh my gosh, she comes down like I had been her best friend for 30 years, and it was just really nice, because I didn't expect that. I'm like, oh gosh, this girl's going to come down and, really just be mean to me or whatever. And no, she was very, very sweet. The whole family was very welcoming. And yeah, so I was very fortunate with that. But yeah, his sister, it scared me a lot. We laugh about it to this day. I think she was just very protective of Daryl. I'm sure he'd been hurt or whatever a few times. And yeah, so she just came down to see what the story was. And you guys, I went in with this here and I'm going to mix it with this. So yeah, again, we just became very inseparable. I spent almost every day either at his house or he was at my house. So this went on until he went to college, and then he went, and it was so sad, you guys. It was the saddest day of my life, and um, but I had landed a job as a dental assistant, which I'm still in dental today, you guys. I never left it. So I've been doing dental or dentistry since 1989. And at the time, I think I was working two different jobs. I think I was working McDonald's and there. Again, like I said, I came from a family that, if we wanted a new pair of sneakers or fancy pants, or Jordache or something like that, we had to purchase these items ourselves. I mean, our parents would buy us basics, but anything designer, anything we had to buy them ourselves. And I wanted to fit in or whatever. So I landed a job. I think my first job was 14, mowing the lawn for a dental office. Anyway, you guys see, my storytelling, I just go on a tangent and go off. And so he went off to college. I was working at a dental office, and I would literally get out of, working at the dental office on a Friday, drive to Ferris State University, which is from our house. It could be, 3, 4 hours. Again, no Garmin's, no cell phones, nothing, you guys. That's what I'm doing at my age, and not a clue. I think I'm going off. I obviously had to go off maps because that's all we had. And here's another story that I might be telling one day. I don't think our parents loved us. It was like, oh yeah, go do what you want. It was crazy, So anyway, um, so yeah, I would go up to Ferris State and spend the weekends with him. And he had roommates, and his one roommate was kind of a jerk. And I felt really bad for him, But Joe just kept to himself. He would do his studying in like the library or wherever he would go. And so this went on for a year, this back and forth. And sometimes he would come home. His sister came with me a few times, and then my sister came with me a few times because I got really lost one time going to Ferris State, and it was so scary, you guys. Again, I'm all by myself. I could not find my way. It was awful. So I had to keep stopping at all these different gas stations, and so I think after a while, I just started having people come with me because I was so scared to do that drive again. And so this went on a year. It is getting to the end of his first year in college. And you guys, this is when it gets really stupid. I mean, really stupid. We decide Daryl's going to, hold on. Prior to that, I'm like, I'm going to come to Fair State University with you. I don't know how. With one money. What am I going to do? But I made this plan that I'm going to make it happen. And I go, well, let's do this. Let's try out for the cheerleading squad. Daryl and me. Daryl had never cheered a day in his life. He was a football player and God knows what else, a wrestler, nothing to do with cheerleading. And so I make this poor guy try out for cheerleading, with me. Remind you, I have been a cheerleader pretty much my whole, school career. Daryl had not. He makes the team. I don't. Daryl makes the team. Now I'm almost upset. And so yeah, we're like, oh, okay, this isn't gonna work. And I think I made like alternative or something. And yeah, him and my sister both try out, and yeah, they make it. I don't. Well, finally, somehow we come to the conclusion after that, we're gonna get married. Yeah, you guys, that's our brilliant idea. He's gonna drop out of college. We tell the cheerleading thing that's not gonna happen after, all that. So the alternative was probably very happy on his end. And yeah, you guys, it was just insane. So we tell our parents this. Of course, my parents are like, well, whatever, you know what I mean? We can't stop you. They know. And they couldn't have, no matter what. His parents tried very hard to stop it. And again, once, you're 18, almost 19 years old, you really have no control over your children. I mean, I learned that the hard way with Kurt. I mean, we're adults. I mean, what can you say except you're kicked out type thing? Okay, we'll get our own place. And I can't remember. I don't think that was the case, but um, we ended up getting, our own place and this little chintzy, apartment. And oh, you guys, it was just so stupid. And I can completely understand why his parents were so upset. If Kirk came home and said this was going to be his plan, oh, I would even know. I think I would have locked him in a basement and I'd be in jail because I just wouldn't let that happen because I've been through it and it's not fun at all. But you guys, we thought we had it all figured out. I mean, he's going to get a job, and I had two jobs making this one job. I was making $8 an hour, and I thought I was big time. And yeah, we really thought we were gonna, I guess, survive on our income. And for a while we did, and the wedding came. Again, his parents were not happy at all, but they went along with it as much as they could. And I get that. At the time I was so upset, but I totally get it now. Um, so it just was an odd time, getting married. We had some support, we didn't have some support, so it was just tricky and it was dumb. It was really, I don't suggest it for anybody. It is the dumbest thing. The only great thing that came out of that is Daryl. I don't think we'd be together today if he became a police officer. That has got to be the hardest thing for a woman to go through, worrying about your husband. So God works in mysterious ways. I'm convinced in that. And I don't think Daryl should have been that. And I'm so glad he wasn't. Anyway, so that was the only good thing that came out of that scenario. And yeah, so we got married and life was very difficult. Shocking. We were completely broke. There were times when I don't even know what we were going to eat because we had no, food money or nothing. So thankfully, I'd go to my mom and she'd give me, some stuff. And I think Daryl was very nervous to even approach his parents at the time about anything because they were still pretty upset, which I can understand. They probably figured, big shots, you wanted to do this, you go and do this. And um, so we were struggling really bad, really, really bad. So Daryl decides that he's going to join the army. And that is our only really solution at the time. He's always been completely obsessed with military and stuff like that. So it did seem like a very logical thing to do. It would save us, um, financially. Uh, and he would be happy, So he joined, and so we were separated for, I think, basic and AIT. It's like, I say maybe 4 months. Um, and for those 4 months, nowadays it's different, but during those times, there's no contact with the outside world. So I had not heard from Daryl. The only way is that they write letters. I didn't hear from him for a very long time. So now, finally, after 4 months, it's time for him to graduate, and his parents, we all went down. And by that time, his parents and I were getting along a lot better. I think they just accepted it at that point. And I spent a lot of time actually with them and the sister. They kind of, took me under their wing while he was gone, which, I totally appreciate. And so we went down, saw him graduate, and found out that night, because they didn't tell you back then where you're going to be stationed the day you graduated. So we had no idea prior to that. And they said he was going to Germany. And I would not be able to go with him, you guys. And that was devastating. That was just another, in the stomach because I don't know how long it would before I would be able to go with him. And again, at that time, we were just almost obsessed like with each other. We were just like, we couldn't breathe without each other. It was almost very unhealthy. And now that I look at it, but sometimes you just can't help it, but that's how it was. And for him to be going now to a different country was just devastating. So anyway, he went, and and so I was convinced at some point I'll be going to Germany. So I am buying books on learning how to speak German. And, I got probably good and Abend down, and that was it. And then I get the call after all that. Now he says, you know what? Oops, I'm going to Italy. I'm like, well, I'm not going to learn that language now. I've done enough. So now I find out it's going to Italy. And yeah, you guys, those were hard times. Those were such hard times. I can't even believe that we lived the way we were living, and this went on for years, years to come, you guys. I could go on and on for this, and it's still a struggle because he never did graduate college. So he went back. This is another story, you guys. I can touch on it a little bit, but it gets pretty deep. But Daryl and I actually separated after Kurt was born. I think the Army, this service really messed things up. And so we separated for about a year. During that separation, I think, Daryl's parents, were like, well, what are you going to do with your life? You got to do something. You got to do some kind of, trade or college or something. So he actually went to school to be a mechanic. And yeah, I mean, mechanics do fine and stuff. It's just during these times, it seems like since 19 or 2008 when everything crashed till now, it's been like this. You know what I mean? We have great times, it goes down really bad. Like right now is a bad time, because of that chip that's missing, or they can't get, or I don't know, you guys. So, things just become a struggle, and it's because of the way we chose things. It's no one's fault but our own. But we did separate, and I had to put that in there. It's a hard thing to say, but it's so funny when people talk about, they go, "Oh, I want a relationship," and I'm not kidding you. My family has said this many times. When they were looking for marriages, I want a marriage like you and Daryl, and I'm like, what are you guys talking about? We struggle, and they're like, yeah, but you guys are always so happy. You guys are always so in love. And I guess that's true. I mean, if you look at it, even though we separated that year, that actually was a huge growing thing for both of us, and it was needed. Um, because during that time, I grew up, he grew up, and when we got back together, I think we were more appreciative of each other's space. We could have space, and it was just much more healthier when we did get back together. And not that I recommend any of that for anybody, but it worked out for us. Um, that's why, if you set something free and it comes back, that is such a true statement. My life has been very interesting. A lot of the interesting things that are I brought on myself. And, but we all make mistakes. And the great thing is, I learned from those mistakes. And my son, I hope that he had learned. I told him many stories about like how important it was for him to get some kind of trade or college. And thankfully, he listened to that and didn't rebel and be in a pickle like I have been. So, just things always happen for a reason. But yeah, you guys, that's a lot of our story. We've had a lot of ups and downs. And now, this to this day, how can I explain our relationship? We're still, we know each other so well. It's like we are complete family. We are complete family. I cannot even imagine my life without Daryl in it. He has just been my best friend for over 30 years. We've been together and we've been married. I think it's going to be 32. I think I think it's going to be 32 years this year. And you know how that is, guys. After so long, it's like, oh, what year are we on now? And yeah, it's going to be 32 years. So I've been with him, more than I was without him. So yeah, we've had quite the romance. You know, it started off so crazy and just out of control. It's just been the best years and the worst years. You know, like again, I said, you know, have struggled so much through our marriage, and somehow each time we stay together. Where most people would have fallen to pieces, probably would have divorced, you know, and when we separated, it was very early into the relationship or marriage. Kurt was only pretty much newborn, 6 months old, maybe. But all the stuff that we've been through since, I'm telling you guys, how we make it each time. I guess maybe that's what my family is talking about when they look for, or when they found their husbands, you know, they were looking for hmm uh, a love affair like ours, which they don't see what's always behind closed doors. Or I guess they just see, hey, you know, if Daryl and Laura can make it through hard times, we can make it through hard times. But we have had remarkable experiences, you guys. We got married at the Justice of Peace when we were 19, and had the most ridiculous wedding at that age. It was like in some kind of, I don't even know, tiny, seemed like a basement or something. It wasn't someone's house. It was like some kind of hall, obviously, because we couldn't afford anything. And my cousin played his guitar. That was our band. And we couldn't even drink, you guys. We couldn't even have a toast because we were 19. And but when we got to our 11-year anniversary, his parents, I think they finally, I mean, they did way before them, but that's when they finally said, listen, you know, because we said we wanted to renew our vows. And they said, well, I think, you know, because we're Catholic. And she goes, you know, you guys probably should do it in the church. And we really wanted to. We really wanted to, you know, have a blessed, you know, in the church. So we ended up doing our 11-year, you know, renewed our vows in a church. So we've been married twice. So, but we still celebrate the first time we were married on August 10th. So even though we got remarried in the church, you know, in a different date, the one that we go by our anniversaries is the, you know, original date. Okay, guys, I brought a couple of lipsticks down, so I think this one actually will go with it really well. And so yeah, you guys, that's pretty much our whole story. I mean, there's so much more in there. I'm sure you guys can imagine how much more is in there. But you know, having Kurt was the best thing that ever happened. You know, we at the time we were so unprepared and all that. I actually got pregnant in Italy. I ended up going to Italy um, to join Daryl, and I got pregnant over there. And we came home. I think I was 9 or 6 months pregnant when I came home. So he was almost born in Italy, guys. So yeah, we had Kurt. He's just a blessing. And we never had any other kids after that. Not that we didn't try. Finally, when Kurt was 13, I said, Daryl, someone's got to do something about this because I am not going to have another child now that Kurt's 13. And so, yeah, he went and did the nice thing. And that was that. And then we never had, you know, no, any more children. And I think it was best for us, you know, for our family, our situation. Again, things work in crazy ways, you guys. But yeah, Kurt is our life. You know, he is our everything. I'm sure you guys can tell in my post and the way I talk about him. And he is just such a blessing in our marriage. He really bonded the marriage after that. I mean, we became such a family that we were at that point inseparable. Kurt was an amazing child. He was a crazy toddler. For years, I was like, oh my gosh, if I ever have another one, I'm going to lose my mind because he was just out of control. But then one day he just woke up and he was just the most calmest, great, wonderful child. I never had it, honestly, and I'm being honest. I would tell you guys, I'm pretty transparent. He's never given me any, he's never been in real trouble. Never. He's just a great kid. So with him in our lives, it just, it brought, it drew Jeremiah closer, which I could never even believe that could be possible, but it did. So that is how I met your father, Kurt. Oh, makes me just want to tear up every time I say something like that. But yeah, hold on. Gotta get myself together here. Mm, who would have ever thought? But going down memory lane is really whew, that is crazy. It just hit me all at once. But yes, that's how I met your father. And yeah, and I'm sure we're gonna be together, and until um, you know, we're out of this world. And even then, I'm sure we'll be together forever. So, yeah, you guys, that is that story. And I just have one more thing I want to try here. I got this sent to me by iMethod. You guys, they are the sweetest to me. They don't even contact me anymore. They just send me stuff. And I truly enjoy their products. So they sent me these plumpers, and I thought, putting it over this will look really nice. I just don't know what the shades are yet. So let me open this. This is a shade, they go by numbers, a 608. And it looks like this. Ooh, these are pretty. I did not expect that. Look how beautiful this packaging is. And this one is a 603. Yeah, I think this one will go better, but look how pretty these are. I have to look it up and see how much these even are, but oh yeah, that is really nice. So it's just like this kind of little wand. Let's try it. So I think next week, because I've already made a list of what my stories are going to be. Hmm. Ooh. Let's see if it tingles. Next week's story is going to be Ghost Story. And yeah, that one's a doozy, let me tell you guys. So if you're into ghosts, or even if you don't believe in them, you might want to tune in to next Monday, because that's what that's going to be about. All right, you guys, let's take a quick look at my makeup and see how I did with my makeup doing this story, because I didn't stop or anything. What it is what it is. I basically yeah, I did the whole thing on camera. I'm pretty proud of myself. So this is the eye look. I actually really love it. And this is actually a blue. So what I did there, as you guys saw, is I took the micellar water, and I'm going to show you the blue I used in this palette. Any blue would work, obviously. And I mixed it with this brown, and it's super pretty. It like threw off the whole look a little bit. So I'm super happy I did that. And it's this shade here. So it's like a more navy shade. And I put that, like I said, in, hopefully you guys can see it, in the waterline. And I did it right here on the outer corner. I really love this, you guys. Try that. And I'll let you guys know in the description box if it lasts long. But yeah, you just take micellar water and any kind of like pencil eyeliner, and oh, I always get these fuzzies. And you just line it, you guys. You will never, if this stays, you will never have to buy a colored eyeliner again. I'm so excited about that. Even when I was doing it, I'm like, hmm. So I hope you enjoyed this week's story time. I really hope you guys tune in next week. And yeah, you guys, we're going to be doing this for the next 3 months, because I am not going to buy makeup. I'm really going to try even on foundations, unless it is something that blows everybody's mind, or you guys ask that of me. Foundation or concealer, those were the two that were kind of out of that. So if there is something that you guys want me to try, I'm not buying any makeup, so this is going to be super affordable for me just to buy a foundation. So yeah, again, if you guys want me to, definitely let me know. I'm really liking today's look. I'm pretty proud of myself for being able to do both at the same time. I got a little lost there in a few parts, but for the most part, I did, I think, pretty okay. And hopefully it wasn't too tangent like for you guys. I'll get better with story time, I'm sure. But thank you so much for joining me on my first one. And if you're new, I hope you did enjoy it as well. And yeah, you guys, I will see you Thursday. That will just be a regular video. So, all right, you guys, I love you so much. And until next time.